And that really inspired me, you know, because you hear so many kids. I remember being on the school bus and so many kids were like, "Oh, I want to be famous. I want to be a movie star. I want to be famous." And I used to say I wanted to be a farmer, and they would make fun of me. But because they were like, "Oh, but your parents are famous." And what I would say was like, my parents are actors, and that's an extremely different goal than the desire to be famous. Like, one is a relationship to your craft, and one is about what will people think about me. One is what am I doing, and one is what do people think I'm doing. And Flannery's prayer journal articulated that difference and the struggle to stay on the right side of that path so well. And it really hit me as a teenager, and it still speaks to me now. I think it even still speaks to him.
Absolutely. And did that sort of come back to you as you were playing her, now that you've had, you know, success in your own career, and she was kind of at that same cusp of her life and figuring out how to reckon with her ambitions, as well as how that affected everyone in her life? And, you know, in a sense, it's almost a kind of snake eating its tail, that your great ambition is to play someone with so much ambition, you know?
Yeah, I mean, when I thought about all that stuff as we were preparing, about what really hit me when I was playing her was her isolation. That was the overwhelming emotion that filled me up while I was acting as this part, was her isolation and loneliness. Because all the other things I'd been thinking about, those were all intellectually very interesting to me. But then in the being in her body, she's so lonely. You know, every rejection letter, that scene in the editor's office, you know, when I thought about it intellectually, it felt like it was about ambition, and when I played it, it felt like it was about loneliness. Just not feeling understood by anybody. Not by her mom, not by even, you know, Cal in the end, not by the editors or the people who even read her stories or interpreted them. I mean, we've talked about how she talked about the Gene Kelly movie that they made, and how we used it as a paragon while we were making it. Like, okay, well, Flannery's gonna hate our movie, because even with the Gene Kelly movie, she was like, they asked her what she thought about it, and she said, "I suppose it could have been worse." You know? And what I think she meant is, I still don't feel seen. Like, you know, like people are reading my work, they're talking about my work, I'm getting, like, and I still don't feel seen. And I think that that's the feeling that so many artists have, is even you make it big and you make a thing and people write reviews about it and they talk about it, and you read the review and you think you're gonna feel seen, and you still don't feel seen. And I think that was the overwhelming emotion of playing.
And that's amazing. I mean, and I guess the question then becomes, in feeling that predominant emotion, but also being on a set where you're so supported with people you've known for so much of your life, is there the difficulty of sort of ping-ponging, or is that the discipline, is that the craft that, you know, Flannery brings when she's writing, you know, to delve in?
My dad always taught me that that some actors allow whatever the character is to make them punish the people around them. That they allow the emotion of the character and the world that the character is in, their suffering, to make them feel entitled to make other people around them miserable. And that you don't have to do that. That it's a choice, and that you can give as good a performance not doing that, as some people get so much credit for the idea that they did do that and then they gave this great performance. But I got to watch my dad, who was operating as a single father when I was growing up, and doing things like playing Macbeth, which is one of the darkest characters you could possibly play, and having to walk backstage in between scenes and hug me and ask me how I was doing and ask me if I needed a ginger ale, and then be like, all right, now I gotta go back on, and then return back into that emotion. And I've held that. Both of my parents did that, you know, would walk out and be a parent and then walk back on and be a performer. And I hold that as a paragon, that you never need to use the dark emotion of the person you're playing as an excuse to punish the people around you.
So, being a father-daughter tandem, were there ever creative differences on set that y'all had to work through?
Can I take it?
Please.
We have a lot of differences, and we have a lot of things that are really hard for us. One of the things that's always been safe we used to be able to get a piece of watercolor paper and do a painting together. And try doing that, like where somebody screws, they put blue where you wanted yellow, and you put green where they wanted red. And the other person goes, okay, all right, well, we'll do that then. And we'll do that then. And we used to do that really often, just paint together. And it would turn into something neither one of us had planned. I wanted to paint the dog Nina, it would turn into a bird. Or, you want to paint a storm and I want to paint a tree. It's a tree in a storm. And the being on set for me with her was really wonderful. And people sometimes would say to me, they'd look at the monitor and say, isn't that amazing? That's your daughter. And I wasn't thinking that. I really wasn't. I was dealing with a grown artist I had a responsibility to collaborate with. And I think, oh, well, that's my daughter tonight when she's speaking. And I have immense pride. It's not that I don't. But it's a great honor that she gave me to say, I want to work with you on something that's really important to you. Can you imagine that? I mean, it's for the parents out there to have your 24-year-old kids say, hey, I have something I think we should work on together. When they have the capability to finance independent movies through their own success, to give you a job, and not just give you a job, to give you a secret job that you really want to do more than anything in the world, and they help create that. That's powerful. And then I can in turn go, yeah, I am the right person for this job, and I'm gonna, I think if you made an ordinary movie about Flannery O'Connor, you should go to jail. I just think I would much rather make an abstract, weird art piece than make an after-school special about. I just think she would just hurl at anything sentimental or anything, And so I felt a great responsibility to my mother, to Maya, to my wife, who's our producer, these women and powerful women in my life that care a lot about it, and then to the other collaborators to do my best. And my best doesn't mean sitting at the monitor going, isn't my daughter wonderful? In fact, I'm probably one of your harshest critics. I know exactly. I believe in her completely. I think anybody who sees this movie that doesn't see a giant career ahead of her is not looking.
Yep.
And she has a responsibility to that, and that's important. And our relationship is sacred to me. And the only thing that's been hard about working together, the actual process of making it, she pushed me when I look at that picture right now. Maya fought for this poster. It doesn't, it's okay. I'm trying to get zen about these things and let things go, or certain sound design elements. Let's stop working on this thing. I'm tired. But like that moment could be better. She did that all through, from script, every phase of it. And I'm grateful for that collaboration. But so, yeah, no, I talked too long.
Maya, you have your experience on set with Dad?
It's just awesome. He did a great job. There's nothing he didn't say that I felt. We also are, this might be too personal, but we've had to learn to adapt the definition of what family is throughout our life together. And one thing that was true about the set is that every single person on that set was our family. There are people who worked on the movie in this room right now, and they're our family. And that we brought in friends from different chapters of our life, because it's hard to make an art movie, and to fill it with actors you recognize, you know what I mean? Like actors who normally get paid a lot of money to do it. Like, you gotta call your friends and say, please, come do something weird with me. And we were a family, and we were working together and loving each other, and so was everyone else that was involved and who rose to the idea of family in the process of making this movie.
So I called Richard Linklater in the middle of it. I said, just one day, I want to make a movie where I can pay everyone, And he just said, I know you really well, and that will never happen. And I realized I dropped off in the talking about you to see that the only thing that was hard about it, which is what I was getting to, was the public facingness of it, of the release of the movie, because in a way it diminishes our collaborators. It turns it into the dad-daughter act, when really we were using the shared love of Flannery O'Connor and the shared love of mysticism and the shared love of creativity. And we have all these amazing, the cinematographer killed himself trying to make this movie. Shelby Gaines, who co-wrote the movie and did the score, impaled himself in the movie. Laura Linney was a great friend and ally. Steve Zahn, let's hear it for Laura Linney. I mean, just an amazing. I've known Laura way longer than I've known Maya. When she's talking about family, and so it's true. And so one of the